You won't believe it. We have a math genius who has to see a shrink every day. Will didn't want the last condition, but avoided prison, so he played the patient. The professor loved his math talent. The professor saw his younger self in Will. One night, he browsed a psychology book for tomorrow's challenge. The next day, he managed to infuriate the shrink with just a few words, only to discover that the book he read was written by the doctor himself. Will saw through the doctor's secret, exposing him and leaving him red-faced. When another shrink hypnotized Will, asking about his issues, he stayed silent in awkwardness. Therapy flop. Faced with a dead end, the doctor had no idea how to proceed, but Will was way more complicated than they'd bargained for. But the professor had one last card to play: see his college buddy Sean. As soon as Sean walked in, Will strutted in like he owned the place. Sean tried to engage, but with Will it was like walking on eggshells. He didn't want to waste his time with someone he couldn't trust, but mentioned books and Will was all ears. He thought the psychologist before him was a lightweight, but when Sean asked if he'd read the books on his shelf, he fumbled for words. Sean realized Will had only skimmed the top shelf and figured out he wasn't nearly as erudite as Sean. To save face, Will stood up to find Sean's flaws and mocked upon seeing a U.S. history book. He started railing against wasted money on books, aiming to knock Sean down a peg, but Sean was completely unfazed and continued. When Sean mentioned bench pressing 285 pounds, Will's face dropped. He didn't want to answer, so he quickly shifted the convo, talking about the woman in the painting. Sean looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. Will picked up on the signal and thought Sean might be afraid of his wife. Subtitles. Will firmly declared, "If you continue to disrespect my wife, I'll show you my real self." Upon hearing this, Sean was left utterly shocked. "Oh, time's up." Looking at Will's smug grin, the professor knew Sean had definitely lost this round. Subtitles. Sean couldn't believe that he was unable to defeat such an incredibly clever kid, but he didn't give up. Instead, he decided that Will should come back again next week. Back home, Will pondered over Sean's words from earlier. The painting triggered an unexpected wave of melancholy, making him yearn for a safe harbor. Meanwhile, Will's life was all sweetness and light as he dove headfirst into a whirlwind romance with Karen. They were madly in love, caught up in a whirlwind of romance. Before long, the next week rolled around, and Sean was waiting to take Will somewhere that would change his life forever. He took Will out to an open area, and before he could even say a word, Will launched right into a personal attack. Will's harsh words didn't even faze him anymore. It was like water off a duck's back. Sure, Will might be a little irrational, but he was still a lost kid, lacking real-world experience. See, his book smarts just wouldn't cut it. He might know all about art theory, but had never felt the vibe of the Sistine Chapel or seen the stunning ceilings up close. Maybe Head had a one-night stand, but he couldn't even put into words the joy of waking up next to her, let alone feel the pain of losing her. Because you know what, I can't learn anything from you. It's like reading a boring book. John's words washed over Will like a spring rain, slowly breaking down the walls had built around his heart. Will had bottled up so much pain, from being abandoned by his parents to abuse from his foster family. His lost childhood had made him sensitive, and slowly he learned to fight back with harsh words against the world. He built high walls to shut out the world, but now the sunshine was finally breaking through. Will fell silent. It was the first time he truly felt understood. Both he and Sean were lonely little boats, and now it seemed he'd found a harbor. Will stood his ground without yielding, remaining silent before Sean, who patiently waited for him to open up. So, they spent a whole afternoon just listening to each other's breathing, until Will finally couldn't hold back anymore. Subtitles. Unknowingly, he peeled away his own defenses, yet Sean mercilessly cut through his lies. Will worried about his flaws. Sean shared a past anecdote about his wife farting in her sleep. Once, it was so loud even the outdoor dogs woke up. When his wife found out, she blamed Sean, who took the blame just to spare her feelings. This little episode became a cherished memory, and Sean wanted to tell Will that everyone has their flaws. The essence of love lies in mutually accepting each other's imperfections. See, it's the duty owed by every couple. Loving someone might need a reason, but it definitely isn't because they're perfect. Love isn't about finding the perfect person, it's about appreciating someone who's imperfect. The next day, Will, filled with courage from Sean, knocked on Karen's door, sweating bullets from nerves. But Karen was buried in her professor's homework and didn't have a spare moment. She promised Will she'd make it up to him tomorrow, but that little deer in Will's heart was already going wild. Will offered to help Karen with her homework. Seeing him finish it easily, she admired him more. Karen asked how many people were in his family, and not wanting to reveal he was an orphan, Will fibbed about having 12 brothers. Karen expressed a desire to meet his brothers, and he had no choice but to agree, swallowing hard.